awesome panel of crew of really important people for our industry and who can talk about the game. What we want to do is show you a quick video. So let's take a look.
All right, let's get this thing started. Let me introduce our panelists. I think they're coming. Yep. Kevin Cloud, Hugo Martin, Jörg Gustafsson, Todd Vaughn, and Tom Mustaine.
Yep, come on out, guys. Thank you. Thank you for joining us, guys.
Yeah, welcome.
So many of you might know a lot of these guys, especially, I got to say, your congratulations. Youngblood just came out today, and Cyberpilot as well, so round of applause to you. Very exciting. If you guys want to kind of go down the line and tell us sort of what you do right now, what your role is, and kind of the impact that Doom has had on you.
Kevin Cloud. My role is a senior producer at id Software right now. Doom's had a huge impact on me because I started with id working on Doom, so massive impact on my life, and excited to see it still around and kicking. So fantastic.
Hugo,
creative director at id Software, and well, yeah, it's been. I mean, it made us move to Texas, so it dramatically changed our lives, which is awesome. We love living here, and it's great. It's so fantastic to be a part of pop culture history, which is cool.
That's awesome. You're?
I'm the executive producer at Machine Games, and I mean, for me personally, Quake, of course, has been the big inspiration and something that has, it's a big part of my career. But id Software titles in general have always been something that we have, looked at and draw inspiration from over the years.
So I'm Senior Vice President of Development for Bethesda Softworks, and it's amazing just the relationship with Doom as a fan, just playing the original, original episodes, and then having the opportunity to work with this team and, growing the brand from kind of where it was with Doom 3 and working with this team specifically on Doom 2016. It's phenomenal.
Tom?
Yeah, I'm Tom Mustaine. I'm the co-studio director of Bethesda Dallas. And yeah, Doom awoke something inside me. The first time I turned the corner in E1M1 and saw stairs going up, I was like, I need to make things for this. And that was the beginning of my journey to make levels for Doom. And from that's why I'm sitting here today. I made nonstop Doom things. Thank you, Kevin. Because that basically opened the doors.
That's awesome.
Kevin, you've been working on Doom since the first game.
Yep.
This 25-year milestone, what does it mean to you?
I'm old. That's one.
Okay.
Absolutely. And just lucky to have been there, be a part of it, and be a part of it for such a long time. And just proud to see so much of the original Doom, alive and well in Doom Eternal. It's fantastic to see.
Yeah, Hugo, you're working on Doom Eternal, obviously, and helped relaunch Doom in 2016. What does Doom mean to you as somebody that started not working on the team?
The project, I mean, it's just awesome to see to be a part of a team, you know, and that whole process. You know, it takes a great team of people to make a good product. And over the course of the 6 years, and really throughout the company, but you know, the Doom team has come together, and it's just been awesome. It's cool to see like guys like Kevin that they dig it, you know what I mean? Because they were there for the beginning. So, and it's kind of easy because the original Doom game is so good and the designs are so iconic. So we really just have to continue to look at the source material, kind of identify exactly what makes it great. And that generally never steers us wrong. But it's been amazing. I mean, everybody's so happy to be here. The fans, I mean, I think that's been the most enjoyable part of it all, is getting to meet all you guys and read all your comments, even the bad ones. And because you're passionate about it, you know, and we're big nerds too. So we're passionate about Doom as well. So the community and the team, it's just been fantastic.
Cool. Any other reflections or ways the rest of you have looked at working at Bethesda and id and the ZeniMax family, how you've kind of looked at this milestone?
I mean, for us, it's of course been a very big thing in general. We have always been, like I said before, big id Software fans, and they have over the years been a great inspiration, even from the very beginning when we started at Starbreeze. And we have, you know, been working with these. In a way, I think we have looked at the id Software guys so much, and we have drawn so much inspiration from the games that we have, in a way, we have competed with them as well, and in what we have been doing, and our ambitions to create good games. And I remember when we started at Starbreeze, and Magnus, who was the founder at Starbreeze, Magnus Högdahl, a great programmer, and in my mind, he was the Jon Carmack of Sweden. Very, very early, and this was in '95 at E3, and Magnus then showed a game called Into the Shadows, and that was, at least to me, I believe that was a title that could have become the success that Quake later became. And you know, and through the years, it's been going on like that. And when I started working with Magnus in '98, then he had just added splines to the engine. And we did a lot of work with that. It was amazing. You know, we could do so much cool environments with it. And then the game we worked on got canceled, and then Quake 3 came out with all of these, you know, with their splines, and it looked absolutely stunning. And then, you know, that went into then the 2002, I think it was 2002 E3 when the Doom 3 demo came out. Which I specifically remember the scene when this pink gear breaks through the pipes. It was also something that we draw a lot of inspiration from and looked at a lot. And at that time, Magnus had just started working on this next generation of Starbreeze engine with the dynamic lighting and the per pixel stencil shadowing. And then when we released Riddick based on that engine before Doom 3, that was a very big win for us, and something that was definitely a big win for Magnus. So when I say that the id guys have inspired us, it's probably more than that. They have been basically made our entire careers. So of course it's a great honor to be able to, you know, work with Machine Guns now and with Wolfenstein under the same organization with the support of id Software.
Thank you. So Kevin, I mean, you were even at id before Doom came out, and I'm just kind of curious, like, what was that vibe around the office before you guys actually, you know, sent the game out into the wild? Were you guys kind of aware of, like, wow, we're actually making something pretty magical, or were you kind of just like, you didn't know how people were going to react to it?
I mean, I think we had an idea that we were working on something cool. You know, you would never really know how people are going to respond until you get it out there. You know, at the time, when I first started, it was almost like a garage band, right? So it's just a handful of guys. We're working out of an apartment, and working on fold-out tables and things like that. So our expectations, were relatively limited. But, when you get to the point after you release the game and you start learning about we're being banned in offices because we're harming productivity, we're bringing down networks at college campuses, you go, okay, we've got something that's pretty nice here. So, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Then once it was actually out, and the reception was insane. People were just like, everyone was letting their friends know about it and everything. How did that feel? Did you guys kind of feel like rock stars in a sense? Like, oh my, we made this amazing thing.
I can only speak for myself.
Yeah.
And
How do you feel?
Humble?
Yeah, very lucky.
Yeah.
Very lucky. Yeah, it was a pretty exciting moment to, walk around, grocery store or something like that with an id shirt on and have somebody recognize you. That's, I have to admit, that was pretty fun.
Yeah.
But, so much of our time was just spent focused on work. We went straight from Doom into Doom 2 and then started on to Quake. We carried on crazy hours, and our lives just almost revolved around offices. I spent more time with Adrian than I actually did with my family,
right.
During those years. Adrian Carmack, a fellow artist that did software, fantastic artist. And so, we just sort of rolled on to the next thing.
That's awesome. And I have to ask,
Sorry,
yeah, go ahead.
When I first joined the company, I basically did exactly what you just did with him. We'd sit around, ask him a bunch of questions in the cubes. He'd give us some stories sometimes. But it's just the coolest thing. It's like, you worked on Doom.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, so do you.
There's a lot of stories. You have stories about, didn't a dentist office used to be next to kind of where you guys were, and people were drilling in teeth and.
Oh yeah. That's back in the. We started off in an apartment, and then we moved to this black cube building. If you guys are familiar with this area, over on 635 and 30, there's a big black cube building, and that's where it officed for a while. Mm-hmm. And up on the 6th floor was Suite 666, which was our office.
Yep.
Naturally.
Appropriate.
And Adrian and I had an office that shared a wall with a dentist, and it was very thin, so we could hear when the dentist would drill on people's teeth. And so the drill was bad enough, but also, of course, you hear people moaning and making their drill sounds and things like that, which was pretty freaky.
Really good Foley work there, maybe.
Was that the inspiration for hearing the demons on the other side of the wall? And
It may have been. It may have been. We tried to drown it out with some Metallica, but the dentist didn't like that either. So eventually, when they would moan, we would moan back. The wall, which we thought was fair.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. And of course, a lot of people may know Miss Donna's been at ID for 25 years now as well. Yep. Miss Donna is the ID mom. What was it like the early days with her, being there? Basically, she describes it as kind of taking care of her kids in a lot of ways, the way that she was just making sure everyone had everything they needed. And it's still the same way today, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you go visit ID, the first person you meet is Miss Donna, which is fantastic because she is a fantastic person. Yeah. She started with us back in the Doom days, so she's been a part of ID and the ID team for a long time, and she was originally brought on to just help us out for a short period of time, but she decided to stay and take care of us, and that's what she's done. Not just taking care of us around the office, but taking care of us in all parts of our life sometimes. A lot of the guys have sort of grown up at ID, and she's played a huge part of that. So that's why we love her. That's why she's our ID mom.
There she is. Miss Donna. Oh, is that her? Is that she's coming down? Woo! Miss Donna.
Thank you.
You can't escape the limelight.
I know she doesn't love the spotlight, but very, very nice to see her here. So thank you, Miss
Let's give her a hand.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's awesome.
And I'm called to do the interview for ID, and it's in Texas. This idea what Texas is like, and that's the first voice I heard. It's like, all right, it's like Texas. I want to, a lot of stereotypes and what you perceived, preconceived notions of what it's going to be. And she's like, "Hey, darling, how you doing?" I was like, "Holy cow, that was a lot of Texas right at the beginning."
Every day. That's how you start your day every day.
Avalanche of Texas right
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Whoa.
I do have to ask one last story about just the days at id. There's a famous story about an axe and a door. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah.
Because I've seen some pictures of it.
Yeah. So that was Romero. He was stuck in his office. Somehow the doorknob came off or broke off, and he couldn't find his way out. And none of us are really mechanically inclined. And Carmack had a battle axe lying around. I got from like the Renaissance Festival or something like that, this giant battle axe. And he just yells, "Stand back," to Romero. Romero says, "What?" He goes, yells, "Stand back" again. And so smashes through the door.
Nice.
Just hacks it
That's
up.
how you do it. Yeah. That's how you do it at id Software. Wow. Nice.
I was lucky enough to visit those offices back in the day, really early on, and it was after Doom when these guys were in the secret area working on Quake, and that the way that things worked there when these guys would play deathmatch, or it just everything amped up, everybody screaming and yelling and knocking things over and going crazy. So the battle axe, I heard that, I'm like, yeah, of course that's what happened. Like that's how the door, it was after a deathmatch or something. But I think it was like middle of the day, right? Like
Absolutely.
but it was not surprising after visiting and seeing how people got amped up playing the games.
That's awesome.
So it's the year of Doom, Yerk, but you actually got started on a game other than Doom, Quake. Can you talk about how you got into the industry? I think there's maybe a story about a PC or a parrot or something like that.
Yeah, it is. It actually took me a very long time before I got a computer. I just couldn't afford it, and I didn't save money either. As soon as I got my hand on some money, I just spent it. But my brother, he had the Commodores and the Amigas, and sometimes he allowed me into his room to play games on them. But those were rare occasions. And then over the years, I played a lot of games. We played the Double Dragon at the Hamburger Bar. We played Nintendo games and Duke Nukem at the local university where we could connect the computers, which was really cool. And of course Fallout and Doom at my friends' houses. But it was in 1996, and this is where the parrot comes in, where when I placed a bet on this local hockey game, and I won. And I won a lot of money, about $400 or $500. And of course, I instantly want to spend them. And the first thing that popped up in my head was to buy a parrot.
Everyone does that.
And then I called my friend because he had a car and he could take me to whatever you call the store that sell parrots. And but then he convinced me to buy a computer instead. So we went to this electronics store and we bought I think it was a Pentium 90, I would think. But we also bought then what would become one of the greatest passions of my life, and that's Quake.
I think we can all agree you made the right decision.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You can always get a parrot later. You don't need one, Just get one next time. So Todd, do you know where you were kind of in your life when Doom came out, like career-wise?
So, for part of my career, I was with PC Gamer magazine, and I came on right after Doom had come out, and it was right around the time Doom 2 was launching. And kind of seeing the impact it's had, hindsight being 2020, you can see all of the things that happened. But in the moment, what you were really seeing was just so many people inspired by what Doom represented. It was a shift of a whole lot of trends in the industry to just fast, fluid, technology-driven, all of the sort of like hallmarks, earmarks of what the Doom represented, speed, the sort of accessibility of control and just moving through the environment so fast. And there were a lot of people who were just super inspired by that throughout the industry. And so you had the phenomenon of the Doom clone. It's just, everybody's inspired by Doom, trying to, get that lightning in the bottle. And so for those years when I was with PC Gamer, just kind of seeing the sort of the reverberations, the impact that it had on everything that followed. It set a very high bar. It set a very ambitious goal of, marrying the action and the speed and the fluidity and technology all together. And, then you had the moment of Quake that kind of did the exact same thing, but added, a whole new dimension to it with internet play and, Q-Test and Quake World, growing it well beyond that. And then the accessibility of modding and making that a theme of what you can do with those style of products. It was just, again, looking back on it, it's obvious that was the epicenter. The release of Doom set a tone for what happened next, and it changed a lot of things about the industry. It made, I think it gave life to community around game in a way that you didn't have before. The fact that there's still WADs being made today on Doom, the original Doom, is phenomenal. It's a testament to, what Kevin and the team created. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. And as you went on to, join the Bethesda family, I mean, you've been there for quite some time. So as id comes on and you're sort of finding yourself working on, Doom and having it be part of the family, what did that feel like?
Well, it's pretty amazing. I mean, I was talking to Laffy Taylor. This was a few years ago, and like pinching myself. I have Kevin Cloud's cell phone in my, his cell phone number in my phone. I'm working with the people that made that impact. And I think when id joined sort of the Bethesda family, that was sort of like the tone across all the teams. Like, wow, we're working with the guys who did that. And the best part is they're great. Like they're humble, they're hardworking, they like to share, they like to help. And so,
Hugo.
Yeah. So we've got this phenomenal relationship with id, and you kind of see that with the relationship with some of our other teams and other products where they use the tech. They share some of the sensibilities. In the case of machine games and id, they work very, very closely together, kind of on alternating between the products together. And I think it's all out of love and respect for what the team has created.
Yeah, it's incredible. I know today we showed that Doom 1, 2, and 3 are available on platforms which they've never been on before, Nintendo Switch being one of them. Super exciting. Yep. And that's in the DNA of the modern game. So Hugo, I mean, playing Doom 1 and 2 and 3, like when you look at those games, I mean, what is it about them that really inspires you, especially as you go on to, create newer Doom titles?
It's kind of a little bit of everything, With Doom 1, I think when you make something that becomes like a significant moment in the history of pop culture like Doom is, it's like, it's the logo, it's the name, it's the story of how they came up with the name from The Color of Money, which is also an awesome movie, and the fact that that's an awesome scene, and the design of the characters, their names, like the tech, the gameplay, like it's just all of these things coming together, and we see that happen sometimes in the entertainment industry and pop culture. Something like I would liken it to like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or Star Wars, the first Star Wars, where it just kind of all gels together. It's a lot of pressure because, it's that good. So Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal has to be, we don't want to embarrass the Doom name. But that's probably the thing that I find most fascinating about it, is to just analyze it from a design perspective, really what makes it tick. I think it taps into something that we all have in us. So even the name, the id, there's like this primal urge to just unleash, aggression onto the world, and id games kind of give you an avenue to do that in a politically correct way, I guess. And that's never going to change. Like people always want to just be Doom guy, and that kind of a power fantasy is something that's in all of us. So I think it connects with people on multiple fronts, which is really hard to do. I was asking Kevin earlier how much time they spent iterating on the design of the characters, because you know, in art school, you would study characters like the Pinky and like, oh, the silhouette and the color, and that's why it identifies with the player, and, you know, red is like blah, blah, blah. And your answer was?
About 0.
Yeah. Which is typically the case. I mean, I know Kevin Eastman worked with him at Blur, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was just something that he thought was cool and funny. You know, like, we met Adrian Carmack at a bar recently, well, about a year ago. All the team was there, and you know, we were having a good time, and he was having a good time too, and we ran into each other and was like, this is Adrian Carmack. And it was really cool because he was kind of schooling us on like, hey, listen, if you really want to make it feel like Doom, you got to not take yourself too seriously. And we were all like, that's what we say all the time. And he's like, you know, Evil Dead, that was a big inspiration for us. Like, you know, I mean, we've been studying the things that they were interested in from the beginning, but it's just those little elements that have to be in place, I think, to make something that special, that resonates with people.
Yeah, it's working pretty well. Yeah.
So Jason mentioned, yeah. So Jason mentioned we did announce the legacy titles coming to phone and consoles today. So before we talk about those games a little bit more, we have a clip to show. Roll the clip. All right. Okay, here comes the desert island question. Doom 1, Doom 2, Doom 3. You only get to have one, and why?
Forever.
Forever.
Yeah, it would have to be Doom 1 for me. I mean, it's the classic, and it's original, so yeah, I got a lot of fond memories about it, so yeah, Doom 1 for sure.
Okay. You go?
Yeah, totally. Doom 1, it's no question.
Yerk.
It would probably be Doom 3 for me, actually, just because it's very close to my heart in many ways. So I think that's why.
Okay.
I'm a Doom 1 guy.
Okay.
All right, I need my double barrel shotgun real bad. So that's Doom 2 for me. I love it. I love it.
Awesome.
That's awesome. So Kevin, I mean, you worked on these games. Like, what is it like to see them re-released? Obviously, there's people that maybe never played them. It's hard to believe that that's possible, but you're out there, I know. So, you know, you're taking your Nintendo Switch today and you're downloading them for the first time. What's that like, a new audience, you know, 25 years later?
It's super cool. You know, the thing is that surprisingly, for me, like playing Doom 1 and 2 on the Switch, it just feels like it's meant to play on the Switch. It's super fun. So for anybody who hasn't played any of the the old titles, it's a great time to pick them up and play it. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, and if you're here, obviously downstairs, you can check it out, which is cool. So yeah, but otherwise, you should just download it. I mean, it's there.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, why wait?
I know when I think of the original Doom games, the first thought that comes to my mind is E1M1 just going up those stairs, this fully realized 3D world. And I was kind of curious, when you think of the classic games, what goes to your head first when you think about them? Maybe from a work perspective, it might be different.
When I think about the classic games,
Yeah.
sort of what goes through my head.
Yeah.
You know, again, from a work perspective, when I go back and play Doom and Doom 2, it just brings back, some memories of what it was like when I was working on it. I remember the first time that I had we had just put the Fireball onto the Imp. And, the Imp Fireball isn't that fast, but it sure seemed fast to me the first time I had it coming at me. So we're sitting there playing it, and the Fireball comes at me, and I basically dodge in my chair, right, as if the Fireball is like coming at me in real life. And it just dawned on me, how powerful first-person shooters are. Because, I mean, there's a thing going on in the game that's eliciting a reaction from me in the real world as if it's happening. I don't have to have VR goggles on or anything like that to feel immersed in a game. And it's just a super powerful moment that, I think that's kind of the core of what a first-person shooter can deliver.
Hugo, any thoughts?
How good it was. My first real Doom that I fell in love with was Doom 64. That was, yeah. I went to art school, and I was a Mac user. So we were super. Everywhere we went, all the labs had Macs, but my friends in the dorms had PCs, and so you got to play Doom, and it was awesome. But as soon as it came out on a console, that was when I was able to, play it. And I love that one. But it's a trip because we look at those games so much when we make for Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal. Look at the resource management of those original games. The plasma was awesome and it tore up the cacodemons, but if you overused it, you'd run out of it. So it was like a thinking man's game. You had to okay, I'm gonna save this because this cacodemon comes out here and this door opens and there's all these guys. And we really strive to, that's the genesis for the resource management in Doom Eternal, which was just make every gun count. The rocket launcher in the original Doom, I remember it being awesome and hurting me, if I didn't use it correctly. And being super pissed when I missed a shot, because I was and being super excited when I walked into a room and there was 6 missiles on the, you know what I mean? I was like, oh, this is good. So we really tried to recreate that in, or let that inspire us, our design decisions in Doom Eternal, and that's something they did in 1993, in the 90s, and it's just as good today as it was then. Because I think anytime you make the player think about their choices, that means they're engaged. So it was overall what I remember as a very engaging experience, and we hope that people feel just as engaged in Doom Eternal.
Okay. Todd, I know you mentioned people should play it if they haven't played them yet. What makes Doom 1, 2, and 3 a good primer for Doom Eternal?
It's just the sensibilities of it. It's unadulterated adrenaline. It's just pumping it straight into your veins and going for it. But at the same time, Doom 1, and sort of the standard that it set, and whether it was they were aware that they were doing it at the time or it was just happy accident, is you don't really have to know anything coming into it, but you know exactly what it is as you're doing it, and it's just that purity of design and what it represents. First room, don't die, keep moving. Yeah. It's a very simple equation, and so I think that translates throughout all of the games, frankly, and that it's a lot of that simplicity of design that informs the deeper aspects of the game. What Doom 2016 started in sort of the reinterpretation of all that magic was, making it that tactical puzzle of the right weapon, the right, right decision, right moment in time, moving through the environment, choosing how you're going to get health, choosing when to get the health packs, choosing when to go after that glory kill. And I think, that all of that just sets the table for what Eternal offers, which is even, a deeper version of that.
Yeah, so for folks, it's a true generational title now, 25 years, right? So I love the fact that it's coming out again on the new consoles. We've got folks that are growing up right now playing Minecraft and other pixel art games, and pixel art's kind of having a resurgence. Here's Doom, baby. It's like the pixel art dream, right?
Yeah, totally.
And Doom has a purity to it from a gameplay perspective, similar to Todd mentioned. There's a purity about how simplistic these combinations become, and from a design perspective, we'd make levels. Nothing's more fun than, oh, there's a rocket launcher in the middle of the room, cool. And we go and run over the rocket launcher, and sadistic designers like myself make a bunch of lost souls come into your face. And you're like, oh, I'm switching to the rocket launcher. And you got things that are going to kill you immediately. So, it's fun to try and figure out those action puzzles, and that purity is there. It's played its way and influenced everything from a design perspective for years and years. And in 2016 and in Eternal, you've got that same, you kind of have to figure out very quickly in split second, I'm going to have to handle this scene this way and pull this gun out and do this thing. And that's still there in the classics, but it's, you've got the music and you've got the resource management. It's definitely give it a shot if you haven't yet. It is the grandfather of the shooter, so the purity is there.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know a lot of times people think about Doom 1 and 2 when they think about classic Doom, but Doom 3 really did kind of take the series in a new direction. Kevin, what was it like to see, going from these sprites to like, fully realized demons and kind of a darker tone to see that game kind of come on board?
Well, I love Doom 3. I love the darker tone too. I mean, it was a good time for us. We had just come off of Quake 3 Arena, which was just more like an arcade action, just all-out shooter. And Doom 3 was a good opportunity for the team to sort of explore something with more of a narrative, a little bit more depth in the gameplay, and realistic environments. So it's fun to work on. That was, I think, is the first game to have real-time dynamic lighting and shadows, which was pretty impressive for the time, and normal maps and all of that. So part of the reason why we went for more of a survival horror pace was to try to showcase or take advantage of that lighting system, really show it off. The other thing is, of course, the only way a surface could be lit is to toss a light on it, and lights were pretty darn expensive in Doom 3, so we really had to be careful about how we used them. So that combination is sort of what moved us into a direction of having more of this kind of slower-paced horror feel for the game.
Sure.
But it was super fun to work on, and a fun game to play through. So
yeah, can't wait to play through it again. It's going to be awesome. Hugo, like looking back at Doom 2016, one of the favorite moments for a lot of people was probably finding those Easter eggs from classic levels. And then Eternal, of course, a lot of people are noticing like the demon designs are kind of going back to that Doom 2 look. Even the plasma has a redesign. So how often do you find yourself just looking at the original games when you're in development for
Constantly.
Eternal?
I'm playing through Quake 2 single-player campaign right now again.
Yeah.
We played Quake 1 when we started. We played Doom 64 when we started the project. Pretty much every time we start a Doom game, everybody has to spend time playing Doom, the originals. And every time you go back to it, you find something else, like the resource management, evaluating Doom 2016 and saying this game is great and how can we make it better. We could probably make players think a bit more about the choices they make with the weapons they have, like you do in the original Doom. So I think it's important to tap into it because it's good. Like, I wouldn't, we wouldn't use it if it didn't work, So some of the Doom 3 stuff is awesome because it is a different style of game, and I love that game. I played the hell out of that when it came out. But the slower pace of that game doesn't really obviously work, so you're looking for to try to capture some of the, as he said, the simplicity of the original game in a modern AAA shooter. I think they're just really good. Again, I just can't say it enough. I mean, it's from a design nerd perspective, like the simplicity of the silhouettes and how each silhouette stands out to the player, even in tiny little pixel form. You could read from across the room, that's a Mancubus, and the guy who hits the pose like this is, the Archvile, and those guys are really scary. And then that sound that guy makes, that means that there's this type of demon around the corner. It's communicating information to the player really, really effectively. So you're able to make decisions like really fast. And that's kind of the deep sort of meta of Doom that we're trying to capture, with our games. And so we look to it because it's good. And we want it to feel like Doom. We continually want it to. I'm a big pop culture nerd, and I'm not too thrilled with the latest Star Wars films, to be honest. And yeah, because
Controversial.
It's not Luke. It's not. They are not looking at the source material, in my opinion, enough to like who is this guy? Like Yoda would not say that. And the way they act and how flippant they are with the Jedi, the Jedi, it's like, dude, it's all about the Jedi, so we do not want to be responsible for messing up someone's childhood. I mean, these guys are like telling you their life's work is inspired by this game. We're not trying to fuck that up, So
It's good. It's a good answer.
All right, we'll have to talk Star Wars afterwards. You're working on Wolfenstein games, talking about Hugo looking at the past games. How do you look at Doom games past and even present up through Doom Eternal when making the Wolfenstein games you guys make?
We look at them, of course, and we look a lot at them, to get a lot of that id feeling into them and all that retro feeling into them, and like it's hard to say actually because we in a way we both do these fast-paced, with a dangerous feel to them shooters, right? And but they are still very very different from each other. But they also have this retro feeling. I think that's one of the key things that we get from the games when looking at the old id Software titles and the old Doom games.
Cool. Tom, you worked on Doom 2016 before leading BGS Dallas. What was that like, and can you talk a little bit about what it was like starting with Doom as a fan as well?
Oh man, that's two questions. But yeah, so I got the honor and the opportunity to work on Doom 2016, and it was a little bit of peeking behind the curtain because I had no idea what to expect. These guys were so secretive, and we're just down in Dallas doing our thing, and id's over in Mesquite or up in Richardson doing their thing. And so Kevin, I talked to Kevin, and he came and sat me down in Doom 2016. He's like, well, what are you going to tell me about the story? And he's like, just play it. Just play it. I'm like, okay. And I played it, and I'm like, it's fast, it feels good. I got glory kills, and like, this, oh my God, this works. He's like, okay, we got to go talk for a minute. I'm like, just give me a minute. I'm going to keep playing. But it was an astonishing moment. It's like we got to peek in and see the team, and Hugo, Marty, the whole team, everyone was so focused on making this game 2016 what it was, and that was a huge, huge, huge part of why we got excited about being able to be taking part of it. So. Probably. Well, the second question, we're running out of time, so.
Okay, yeah, we are running out of time, so we got a couple questions left. Kevin, let's talk about how important shareware was to the launch of Doom.
Yeah, I mean, shareware was incredibly important. We were a small team, independent, self-funded. Around about the time we released Doom, I mean, shareware had already existed for over a decade, so it was a pretty well-developed market. Now, of course, shareware is traditionally more of a sort of hardcore group of buyers, which was great for us because we love communicating directly with that community. A lot of people that were developing shareware at the time were doing things like crippleware and stuff like that that wasn't as successful. We followed a model that Apogee had pioneered, which was this 3-episode, give the first episode away, and then sell the other 2, which was, proved to be super successful. But the other thing that was happening in the market were third-party companies were taking the shareware portion, the free portion, and putting it on discs, and then selling it, in racks in grocery stores of all places, and gas stations. So this gave us a reach that we would have never had. It was just really great timing for us. I think even if we would have went, just straight retail with it through a traditional publishing method, it might have had more profit. Who knows? But from a perspective of getting out to a massive number of people, I don't think we would have ever done that. And honestly, I don't know if Doom would have had the same impact as it did, as quickly as it did without it.
I have a quick story for shareware, real fast. My first version of shareware that I got a PC. I had an Amiga, and I moved over to PC after seeing Doom. I didn't have Doom yet, but I went into Circuit City, and it was running shareware Doom. So I bought some discs, and then went over to the computer that was running shareware Doom, and sat there and it was like a Mission Impossible moment. And I copied all the shareware over, and then brought it back and played it. So yeah, shareware made it entirely possible.
Nice, very nice.
Well, as we wrap up, are there any final thoughts that you guys have about just 25 years of Doom? Obviously, what it means to you, and just to be here and celebrating this. And if not, 25 years from now, we can come back and do this again. But any thoughts?
I better take my opportunity now, rather than wait for 25 years. Just to say it's fantastic again to be a part of id Software all these years, but also just fantastic to be a part of QuakeCon and these great fans. It's just absolutely amazing. I love coming. You guys are fantastic. So I really appreciate it.
We can't mess it up. We just got to keep it going. So it's good. Pressure's good, you know, and it's an honor. It really is. As I said, it's fascinating to analyze what makes it work and to truly see how smart it was and how amazing the work that these guys did and how it continues to help us make great games today. And the fans and the community that I've grown to love here in QuakeCon and in Texas in general. I think you can only make a game like Doom in Texas, and I think that, yeah, I think that is awesome.
You're
I
a
really
dentist
do.
office, right? That's where all the inspiration comes in.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic.
Jörg?
I think I would like to take the opportunity to just say thank you to my biggest hero of all the id Software guys, Tim Willits, who is probably the single person that have inspired me the most throughout the years. And of course now he's leaving id Software for so many years, so I just wanted to say thank you to him.
Awesome. Todd, Tom?
So, for this 25 years of Doom, I think, the thing that just sort of resonates with me is that, Doom, you can have your favorites, but there's not a bad one in the bunch. And having played Eternal, I got the inside track that I know Eternal is going to be awesome. Probably my personal favorite. So that's just the exciting thing. I know this brand's going to continue. It's going to be something that, as long as we hold true to these the ideals of the originals, we're gonna be on the right track.
Cool.
Yeah, I just thank everybody for playing and thank the id guys for making a career for a lot of us here. Because without it, we wouldn't have, I thought games were magic things that came out of Japan. That's how they showed up, right? I didn't know I could make games. When I started learning how to make levels in Doom, it's like, it's possible. And without that, there's a whole industry that wouldn't have existed if you guys hadn't suffered through the pain of moaning and screaming dentist chair people and hit so many things. It is fascinating how many things you guys did right, from mods to the perfect balance of this. It's and being 25 years, like I said, it's generational, and I love seeing people are still making maps today. You can go and check out Doom maps that are mind-blowing today that we just couldn't even imagine back then, because there's a community that's still just building these classic Doom maps. It's fascinating. So yeah, thanks to everybody here that plays, and again to you guys for making it possible for us to be sitting here. So yeah, that's where I'd go.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, that's our panel. Thanks everybody for joining us. If you're here at QuakeCon, be sure to go down to the exhibit hall, check out Doom Eternal, play the classic Doom games, and have a great QuakeCon. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.